itself. Okay, now take a look. Okay, let me just focus on a few of this, right? Highlight. Okay, so take a look at this, right? So initially it came down as an impulse, quite a strong push, and then it starts to go sideways, right? And then what happened next, right? We start to learn the pattern. Okay, so when you see an impulse drop, you see a sideways move. When you put these two pieces together, what happened next? The market came down. Okay, so same thing over here, right? Market came down very fast, it goes sideways, and then what's next? The market came down very fast. Okay, so this is the part where we start to identify, oh, whenever we see a combination of an impulse drop plus a sideways move, there's a very good chance the market will then drop again. All right, so this is then the pattern we start to identify. It has a high probability of happening. Okay, now another pattern we can identify on the very same chart is that when the market goes up initially very fast and it starts to do what we call a try hard, a crawl, okay, which means that it lacks the momentum to keep going already. What happened next? The market U-turns. Okay, now another one that we identify over here, pretty similar, right? Initially it go up very fast, and then after that it starts to lack the momentum, the energy, and then what happens? It U-turns. Okay, so same thing. When we start to identify all this pattern, and then in the future, when we see it again, we know exactly what is the high probability. Okay, but of course, things does not play out all the time. Okay, look at this pattern, right? It came down very fast. It starts to go down, but lack of momentum. Usually, what we do, we expect it to U-turn. But again, the market is not 100% all the time. Okay, so this one here, this pattern did not really play out. But again, it's probability, right? You know, if let's say today a pattern has a good 60 to 70% chance of happening, more than enough. Capitalize on that probability, capitalize on that pattern, trade that. Okay. Same thing. Okay. If today you only see an impulse, there isn't much of a pattern that you can really take advantage of, right? So leave it if you just see an impulse. Okay. So just from this chart, right? If you start to study patterns, okay, from this angle, you can actually come to this conclusion. Okay. We can identify that generally there are three combinations in the chart. Okay, first is an impulse plus correction combination. Okay, and when we look at this, we know what is the high probability of it happening. Okay, the second one is where we combine an impulse plus a crawl. Okay, we also know what's the high probability of happening, right? And the last one here is just impulse. Okay, and when we just see an impulse, don't do anything because the probability of it happening is not high. Okay, so when you look at the chart, okay, these are the three combinations you want to then put it into your library, into your toolbox. Okay, when you look at the chart, you see some of this pattern occur, you know what you want to do. Okay, and this is what I call establishing our directional bias. Okay, so as we progress here, right? This is where the three patterns come in, right? First, impulse correction, you forecast the direction of the impulse. Okay, so if the impulse is up, and then a correction sideways, you forecast the next move is very high chance it's going to go up. Okay, same thing. If the impulse is down and then you see a correction, then you forecast the next move, very high chance is going to go down. Okay, and then if you start to see a crawl, okay, so you have like impulse up and then you start to go higher, but very, very slow, then you forecast the reversal. Okay, because there's a higher chance that will happen. Okay, if you only see impulse, no edge, no probability on the side, remain neutral, don't move. Okay, so again, same mindset, same principle. If things are not clear, don't touch it. Okay, give it time. Eventually, you get clearer. Okay, so again, back to this, right? If you look at this right now, you start to see the chart on the right-hand side. You are able to then see a pattern. Okay, the pattern that we can recognize, which is a crawl. Okay, and we know when we see a crawl, there's a higher chance of a reversal. Okay, and therefore the projection here is 70% downside because there's a higher chance it will reverse. 20% it will go sideways because that is what the market can do as well. Okay, and there's a very, very small chance the market will just keep going up. Okay, so you can see probabilistic mindset combined with technical patterns that we can recognize. You want to put them together. Okay, that is how you will never get it wrong. Okay, in a way, quote unquote wrong is because you're always adapting to what the market is telling you, and you're forecasting and preparing 2 steps ahead. Okay, so now again, probabilistic mindset, right? The pattern is never going to be 100%. Okay, if today you still have the impression that, whoa, this when I see this, then definitely it's going to go. You're going to struggle, okay? Because internally you're thinking like this should happen, but the market isn't like that. Okay, so don't think about 100%. Always think in terms of probability. Okay, now as a trader or even as an investor, you don't need certainty. You need an edge. Okay, and what is an edge? Is basically something that has a higher chance of happening. That's about it. Okay, and you just milk that edge over and over again. Okay, with of course discipline, right? Um, you don't need to know exactly what's going to happen next, right? And that's the beauty of it. Okay, we are doing prep work. We're doing forecasts. Okay, we're actually planning what we want to see and wait for the market to develop. If the market show us what we want, we execute a trade. If the market doesn't go according to what we want, we adapt and we plan again. Okay, so let me show you what that means. All right. Now, this is the part where it's a build up, right? Why I actually designed today's sharing first talking about probabilistic paradigm, because that is very important to do forecasting. Okay, you need to adopt that mindset. The second portion that we covered today is breaking the chart down into pieces. Okay, so that you can actually see the patterns, the probability, the repeat repetibility of what certain patterns tends to have. Okay, now when you have all this in your toolbox, again, it's not going to be overnight thing. You probably need some practice. Okay, but hopefully today, give you that idea and then you start practicing. Yeah. Now, once you have all this in place, the next step here is what we do forecasting. Okay, so we can actually prepare, right? 2-3 steps. If I want to do it more, I can, but it's not really practical. Okay, so what we usually do is just do like 2-3 steps ahead of the market. Let me just show you in a sample what this process really looks like. Okay, so the process of the principle of forecasting is basically we prepare at least 2, right? Because probabilistic mindset, you need to at least know that if this does not happen, what's next? Okay, so you need at least 2, but sometimes it's good if you can do 3. Okay, so in the event that this don't happen, very, very slim chance, then the next scenario will happen. Okay, now why is this important to you as a trader? Subconsciously, okay, when you are preparing for 2-3 scenarios, you will never be shocked by the market. Okay, you're always mentally prepared of what the market is going to do. Okay, and that's actually something I would say subconsciously it will help you as a trader. Okay, because you will not be thrown off guard. Okay, you already know this is my primary. If this does not happen, I'll fall back to my second forecast, my second plan. Okay, so you're always prepared. Okay, so that's the idea of it, right? So you have a primary view, and that's where the highest probability of things is going to happen, and then you have a secondary one. Okay, let me show you that. Okay, so the idea is, okay, you want to respond to the market and not react. Okay, now what's respond? Respond is I have plan A, plan B, plan C. Okay, if the market throw me something according to plan A, I'm going to do this. If the market do this according to plan B, I'm going to do the other one. Okay, and if this happens according to plan C, I'm going to do this. This is called responding. You are prepared. Okay, you're calm, you're collected. Now, what is reaction? Reaction is like, wow, the market dropped. What should I do? Okay, sell. Okay, that is reaction. Okay, because there's no plan. You see something, emotionally you are triggered, you take a decision. Okay, so that's the difference between respond and react, right? So you want to always respond and not react. Okay, so in a way, if you are well prepared ahead of the market, there's no way you're going to be quote unquote wrong. Okay, because it's all in probability. Okay, now the basic pieces just now we talk about is either an up impulse, a down impulse, a sideways slanting up correction, or a sideways or slanting down correction. Okay, if you look at the technical chart, this is what we call the 4 pieces of building blocks. Okay, the market can either develop as an up impulse, a down impulse, a sideways or slanting upwards correction, or a sideways or slanting downwards correction. Okay, if you can think of the 5th one, share with me as well, then we can actually add it in and study it further, right? But up to now, what I observe, okay, these are the 4. Okay, so either of this is likely going to happen, right? And once you have these 4 pieces in your toolbox, it's basically what? Play with the pieces. Okay, so if you start to build up various scenarios, right, very quickly show you. Okay, now if I build up a scenario here is scenario 1. Okay, this can be coming down. Okay, then what will happen? This is my primary forecast. Okay, I know high probability this can happen. Second scenario, okay, slanting downwards, right? I put in that piece there. And then the third one is this can go higher as an up impulse. And the fourth scenario, of course, it goes continue slanting higher. Okay, but because it's already slanting higher, then I don't do that. I don't do that forecast anymore, right? So we have this three scenario. Okay, and of course, then people will start to do this, right? But I just want you to say, okay, if so far you understood all the principles that we covered, okay, you actually can see things differently already. Okay, so what is my primary forecast? My primary forecast is down. Okay, because we have a crowd, we know that high chance this will reverse. So my primary forecast is a down impulse. Okay, so we execute our trade according to that. I'll be only focusing on the sell trade when I see that on the chart. Okay, however, I'm also prepared that in the event that the market does not just drop, that I need to respond to it, right? So that's where the secondary forecast comes in. Okay, so this is my primary forecast, right? I expect the market to come down and reverse fast. So I'll be focusing on the sell trade. However, if the market doesn't come down fast and it moves sideways, then in this case here, I'm not gonna sell it anymore. Okay, and in this case here, we're more interested in the buy, right? In a way, this is an upside and then a correction. So this pattern again, high probability upside. And then the third one, in the event the market just move off impulsively, which has a probability of happening but low, okay, then I will not be selling, right? I will not be buying as well because this is an impulse. I'll wait. Okay, so that's the beauty of it. Okay, so I always have a neutral start when the market just start off with an impulse, right? We remain neutral, we don't do anything, and we wait. We wait until we see a pattern that we can recognize. Okay, so in this case here, same thing, right? We have an impulse down, we don't move, we don't trade, but we plan. Okay, so what is the forecast? We say that, okay, if the market does another impulse up, we don't do anything, we continue wait. Okay, now if the market does a sideways move, then I know this pattern, I'll be looking at the sell. Okay, I can prepare myself to take a sell trade. Now, if the market continues goes lower, then I know this pattern is a crawl. Okay, it's a try hard pattern. It's a reversal, right? So I'll be more interested in the buy. Okay, so this is the beauty of forecasting and thinking in probability. Okay, so I of course can go one step further if I want to take this even further, right? So what I can do is I can add one more layer in my forecast and say that, okay, if I'm preparing to buy, what do I want to see? If I'm preparing to sell, what do I want to see? Okay, so to show you something on this chart. Okay, if the market does this, I'm interested to buy, right? I can go one more step further and say that I want to see, if I want to buy, I want to see the market goes up impulsively. I want the market do this, then I'm good. Okay, but if the market does not do that and it just goes up slightly, very slowly, then I'm no longer interested in the buy anymore. I might want to get out of the buy trade or manage that trade more actively. Okay, or if the market just go down impulsively, then of course I won't be buying. Okay, and if the market continues to just do its crawl, then I would still want to look to buy, right? So I want you to be able to see, like, you can really do this multiple steps ahead of the market and you will never be thrown off guard. Okay, you're always well prepared. Okay, and that's what I want you guys to be able to pick up from today's sharing. Yeah. Okay, I'll skip some of this example here, but the principle, I hope you get it, okay, because we might be running a little bit short of time and I want to cover, at least give some time for Q&A. Okay, so I hope up to now, okay, you can see the difference between, like, you know, some of the comments I received from some of the videos that I do. Like, so when you predict the market goes up, down, or sideways, you're always right. And the comment is like, this is so dumb. Okay, but I hope you, from all this sharing that I've done, talking to you, sharing with you for